Welcome back, my dear MHA CCG viewers here. After a very, very cutthroat lunch, everything's cutthroat here. It's just the way of the word today. Tim and I are very freshened up. All of our players are very freshened up, and it's time to jump right back into the action with a super exciting round 4. And Tam has picked a very, very cool matchup today with a very interesting narrative around it. Tam, why don't you tell the dear viewers what we've got in store for them?
Yeah, we've got Andrew Holder playing as Kirishima versus Richard. I'm gonna butcher his last name. Martyr. Richard Martyr. Double checking. Double checking.
He's playing
No, I'm
against
sorry.
John Philippe
John Philip
Johnson.
Johnson. We were looking at Andrew. John Philip Johnson, playing his fourth kind, the old fling. I
The old
am
fling.
I'm so incredibly excited for this matchup. A little banter before the match happens. Apparently, John was telling Andrew, "Hey, I've fought nothing but Kirishimas today, and the past month I fought nothing but Kirishimas, and I'm undefeated." And so we're gonna see if Andrew can live up to his namesake and truly go beyond in this matchup. Whoa, we have our first extendo hair deck. I'm hype.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
This is super exciting. So not only do we have the extendo hair deck right here, if you notice, our first check this is game one, boys. That is a main boarded blood curdle on our first check, which is
Yeah.
suddenly providing way more context to the whole he's been destroying Kirishima's all day so far. Makes a ton of sense with those bad boys in the main deck. Committing your rival's character is obviously just like the strongest thing in the world that you can do against this guy.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Only got to build 4 from Kirishima's side after I build 3 from fourth kind. We were looking to cover up more of that Phil Birch mat than this, but we'll see what happens as we
Mhm.
continue. Checking a 3 on the 4 does not feel
It is
great.
okay. We are fourth kind. We no care. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So so I guess like some more interesting context, right? Going back to the narrative of this matchup is as you mentioned, this is the old fling for Andrew, right? He really made his claim to fame in the game with his second place finish playing fourth kind at the regional Essex exam where he lost out to Corey Aguilar playing Eraserhead. So definitely like the character that Andrew has seen the most success with globally. But Andrew now choosing to pivot towards the very dominant Kirishima 2. Is he going to be run over by his old success story? And then for some context on JP Johnson here, he was actually if you want to time travel a little bit with me, my dear viewers, all the way back to the Vegas, the first ever season 2 regional license exam, where Omaha showed up and said, "Hey, we've got the hotness here with fourth kind. This is our hot spicy brew, the best deck ever." And then the only fourth kind that saw the top in that event was actually JP Johnson here with the deck. So he's been on the deck for a very long time now and has prevailed with it in the past. So like we've got 2 titans here, both with really peculiar deck choices. We've got the Phil Birch mat itself, the legendary token of power there. There's a lot going on in this narrative, and I'm just so excited to see how it plays out.
What restraint that JP showed there as a fourth kind player, only playing 3 cards in a turn is impressive. Legendary, in fact. I've never seen that happen before in my entire life,
It's kind of
especially
unheard
not with
of.
a passive torch on the board to refresh our hand, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So
kind of crazy. I mean, look, and we even had the attack to do so.
So there's
Um,
so I'm going to tell you right. I'm going to tell you right away. There's a reason that we cannot play that way into Andrew here, because if we build 5 and then have our passing on board, if the first thing Andrew does is put that super cool card Season the Advantage on the board, our passing is gone, and all Andrew has to do is count to however many damage he wants to deal that turn.
Makes
We
sense to
are
me.
we are not allowed to play like a greed goblin. We are not allowed to play reliant on passing the torch in this matchup. And I think the fact that we saw that restraint that you talked about right there instantly, without hesitation, show from JP Johnson here, automatically speaks leagues to his experience playing this exact matchup.
Makes sense. Makes total sense. A true combo jab to frenzy.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a great thing we didn't have the season the advantage for JP's sake here, because we would have
yeah.
lost every relevant card on our board.
uh, playing playing it out. Haven't used Kirishima one time yet. I think we're down to just keep our stages as face up as we can. Um, Either that or we're projecting that there's more attacks coming.
Hmm.
Checking a 5 here on this next attack would be really really keen for us. On a 7, there's
Oh,
a
4 is
4,
okay. That's not
5,
bad.
6, 7, looking good.
Yeah, I imagine like we might. I don't think we can get rid of our it can't be fixed here. I think we have to destroy probably our chivalrous if we're going to use Kirishima's enhance on this one. It can't be fixed being one of the best pieces you can have hanging around on your board against a character like Fourth Kind. You know, Fourth Kind has fallen off a bit in the metagame since the season 2 days because as Momo came to rise, he was a character that really could not deal with that matchup very well. It was a big hindrance to what he wanted to do as a character. Uh, but in case you haven't fought Fourth Kind in a while, a very powerful once per game, committing 4 of your opponent's foundations is extremely, extremely powerful. And having something like it can't be fixed to just kind of sit around and mitigate that when it does finally show up is really big.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Looks like we hit a draw from Kirishima, right?
Hmm.
Which activated the desperate times response to commit a foundation. We committed a foundation, flipped over the it can't be fixed, got to
Yep.
grab another one. So we actually are making out of this turn with playing 3 attacks and building 2 as we go. Rewriting 1 with Kirishima. This is a very good position for us to be in as we build 1 and then proceed to pass, get to snag 2 momentum for later. And that feels like a very successful turn, evening up our life totals 22 to 23. We'll see what kind of a swing back Fourth Kind can have. We know he has at least 1 attack in hand, being that uh, extendo hair strike.
Yeah, I mean, if we see the blood curdle come down, this could be a really crazy turn. Not the check we want to start out this turn with, unfortunately. Interesting to leave both of our gotchas up. Does that say we have another 1.3 or an extendo hair in our hand? Uh, Amusingly enough, to continue with the narrative, the aggressive potential of committing gotcha during your own turns for +1 speed, that being the oversight that led Andrew to fall into second place in his regional run with this character, might be the thing that does him in against a matchup like this, going back against his old fling.
Looks like we hit a once per game.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew having built up to 6 foundations. Saying, "I need you to commit 4 of them," and we were just on the cusp, right? We had 7 foundations, and
Yep.
so it is a little difficult to it is a little difficult to fight uh Fourth Kind once that's happened. But with Kirishima being able to re-ready a couple cards with his character card as well as someone with style, I think there's a lot of possibility for us to survive this turn. If there's
Yeah,
a
I mean, we
character to do it.
we It's Kirishima, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we passed into Johnson here with 2 committed foundations, but really 0 committed foundations once we go through all of our Kirishima cycles. So he's kind of going through the equivalent of swinging into a ready board here. And of course, the ever powerful Kirishima response is always going to be lying in wait. If we have the low block here, it's going to be super duper big. We have the low block here, and then we can Kirishima response the next big bomb that comes into us, meaning we popped our once per game and played like our biggest moves to deal, maybe what 5-6 damage in the long run.
Right. The real question is do we have the low block for it? But I mean, knowing Andrew, there's definitely a block coming. I mean, he's so familiar with what's going on with Fourth Kind. It would make sense for him. Oh, a
We opt for the mid block
block
instead, but the breaker.
breaker.
So this
Okay.
tells me we don't have the low block because I don't think you ever opt to do that instead of fully blocking it, because breaker just does nothing, right? We just play this on a 3. Now when we
Oh,
play this on a 3 and check a 1, it actually does do quite a bit. But
oh
majority
no.
majority of the time, breaker 2 is not going to have a ton of impact there, as Fourth Kind can just play whatever foundation he wants and then continue to play his attacks after that, leading up to the 4th one with its -4 difficulty. But it seems like them's the breaks, according to JP Johnson here.
Them's the
Yeah, I mean,
breakers.
yeah, them's the breakers, 100%. Now we're passing into Andrew here with only 1 ready foundation, not a whole lot going on our stage. Uh, it's not a fantastic spot to be in. I mean, we have a solid chunk of health left, but still, that's not much. That's not much as far as Kirishima is
Oh,
concerned. double
He's
seizing
taking two
the
headbands.
advantage. Double seizing the advantage is absolutely maniacal here. This is just crazy. Even if we don't finish the game out this turn, we've now removed probably both of the passing the torches on Johnson's board. Yeah,
Wow.
this is a massive tempo play. We're gonna get to reset two of these committed foundations, build down the two in, and our stage is just looking ever so healthy now. This is kind of that.
Yeah.
This is kind of that game state that fourth kind really wants to avoid ever getting into, right? You really want to like either win on the once per game turn or cripple them so hard that they're just playing on the absolute utmost, back foot from here on out there. But we're still sitting at a very healthy life total as Andrew, and our board is just getting healthier and healthier. And I think it's gonna be pretty tough for Johnson to turn this one around if he doesn't just fall prey to Andrew's attacks this turn.
I mean, 22 damage is not hard for Kirishima to find
Mm-mm.
in the slightest, especially with him stacking on the +2 damage, getting to re-ready a bunch of stuff, being able to filter draw a little bit. Not to mention, this move is so fast. I mean, this is a free 7 damage, right? We find
Yep.
15 more, which is essentially 2, maybe 3 attacks, depending on what can block, what can't block.
Yeah.
Um, this could be the last turn of this particular game.
Yeah, it's just I think it's going to be up to a matter of how many moves is Andrew seen in all of those cards that he gets to go through. The jab is a really good one here. We can just go ahead and pick up seizing if we just want to just cripple Johnson's stage even more and more.
Yeah, I think that was an attack that we decided to pick up exclusively because we
Mm,
destroyed a back alley haymaker with our last Kirishima, right? And
you're
so
right.
if we had the back alley and we knew that we had it, um, wowzers, that's crazy.
Yeah, I
We
mean
keep
we're
checking
we're
threes, man.
yeah, yeah. We are like best case scenario blocking one move here maybe. Uh it's a really tough spot to be in.
Here comes the Texas.
Yeah, the Texas is going
Um,
to be very pivotal here. This is representing, essentially 11 damage spread across two moves just from this one card, not counting the base damage of the other move, which is just 15. If both of these go unblocked, this is 15 if we have another move.
correct.
There is no 3 damage move in our Kirishima 2 deck here. As far as I'm aware, maybe there's a full power clash sitting around there somewhere.
Right.
But I can't imagine that that's where we're going with this attack string.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, JP's saying, yo, I have to check a 5, right? After rolling, I think 4 threes in a row.
Oh my
Insane.
gosh,
Take this man and
insane.
get him a lottery ticket. All of his luck is being drained here. He's got to
Yep.
have,
And this is
something.
it. This is going to be a 5-speed move with the
Yeah.
EX2, and we're going to wrap up game 1. Wow, that was I mean, yeah. What can you say other than, man, very unfortunate checks on Johnson's end and a huge capitalization from Andrew. Andrew seeing all of the good ones and Johnson just not able to find his way there. Kirishima is, when we're talking about luck here, especially when it comes to the RNG of checks, Kirishima is one of those characters that's like one of the biggest strengths about him is the more you check bad through your turn, the more you can just continue to pummel through because of how
Right.
much resetting you get to do in your stage. But what that really also means is on the inverse end of it, when Kirishima checks well, it can feel massively oppressive because he is 4 or 5 attacks in deep with no committed foundations.
Yeah, it feels very bad to destroy your ready foundations to get your draw because you're just like, you're just like, yo, I had so much more I wanted to do. Hey, why didn't I get to use the entire buffalo? You know?
Right? Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too, Tamarin. Okay.
yeah. Yo, cake
But
sounds good after that lunch break. Not gonna lie.
I don't know, man. That'd be too heavy. I'm not a big sweet tooth guy. No
I'm
sugar
not.
rush power ups for me, man.
I'm not a cake guy either. I think like the world's tiny, like a little cake pop. You know, just a
I
little,
could
just a
uh
little.
I
We
could
need to
do
get Sato on.
yeah, I know, right? Someone asked me earlier in the chat before this started if there was any character in the other category that I could see getting there, who would it be? And Sato one is one of my picks. I think that guy is actually crazy. As much as I'm
Oh,
not a sweet tooth aficionado, I think Sato 1 is a very strong character right now. If
Yeah.
Sato 1, if we get Sato 1 in top tables and he gets on stream, I'll DoorDash a cheesecake. I'll order me a cheesecake. I can
Ooh, that
always
sounds
go for a fine cheesecake, Tamron Cardwell.
yeah.
Hmm.
Cheesecake's pretty good. I've only recently gotten into enjoying myself a cheesecake. There was something about like how it looked and the name, and it was like
Really?
I was
I
just
can
like
see
I just
that.
couldn't do it as a young man, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
now as an adult, I get
Hmm.
myself a good cheesecake.
Yeah.
Heaven,
See,
pure heaven.
I'm a big wine guy, so wine and cheesecake, hand in hand.
Mm.
It's real rich boy hours over here, Tamron
You
Cardwell.
are you a red or white?
More of a red guy.
Oh,
In
interesting.
case you didn't know,
I'm a
Tim,
white guy.
I do like the color red.
Yeah, I
It's
have
it's
noticed.
a pretty good
I
color.
just wasn't sure if your
Yeah.
taste buds just shared your affinity for the primary color.
Oh
What
yeah.
game is this, Brody One? We have no idea. We're too busy talking about cheesecake and wine.
Yeah.
Um,
So we are going into game two right now. Speaking about the power of the color red, Andrew Holder here being up a game with Kirishima 2. A lot of really poor checks and good capitalization from Andrew's end came to him dominating that first game with JP Johnson. So let's see if JP can kind of change it up. I think the big thing too there is JP won the dice roll, right? That was his getting to go first for free advantage game, and we got absolutely slaughtered during it. So
yeah.
he's really got the pressure on him to turn this around. Give he gets he gets his second chance here to go first and try and do the best fourth kind things he possibly can. Uh, opting to go for the mulligan here. Our new mulligan rule means we only get that once, so we better have gotten rid of a really bad one, and let's hope that we found at least a really good one.
I mean, build four here just feels so good, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah, build four gets since we get to smash face.
one of the craziest things about fourth kind is that his static ability does still apply on turn one. Your fourth card gets -4 difficulty and +4 damage, but it says your fourth card, not your fourth attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like you can build out these big heavy 3 diff foundations and essentially make them 1 difficulty because of fourth kind. That's going first.
Yeah, so let's see what kind of stuff we can put on the board here from JP Johnson. Not a bad build by any means. I mean, 3 for a 5-hander. That is the majority of your hand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That is better. That is
Statistically,
a
that's what
better curve.
happens.
Statistically, that is what happens. It's certainly better than a build 1 or a build 2, like we've seen a couple times on the stream so far today. So a solid start for JP. I'm really hoping that we get to see him kind of take the reins a little bit more in this game and show us what this deck can do. I mean, if we Tim and I, we've both been around since way before the set 2 format, so we're very familiar with what fourth kind as a character is doing. We know his tricks, his antics, his tactics, his flow, to use a bunch of our Tamron Cardwell terms here. But what is he doing with set 3? We're seeing these extendo hairs. We're seeing the main decked blood curdles. I'm sure we've got more coming in from the side now. There's got to be 4 blood curdles on our deck now, right?
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me. At least 3. I feel like drawing 2 blood curdles as a 5 Hanses character feels really bad. But
Yeah, it could certainly be a little cloggier than we would so desire.
if
Um,
JHP comes back and wins this entire match, I still won't be satisfied. He just rolled 3 threes. That's insane. I still won't be satisfied until I see an extendo hair kill. That's
yep.
my goal. That's my
Yeah, I
want.
mean, I was talking about what is he doing in set 3. That's what I want to see. I want to see these new tools, these new tricks, these new tactics. I want to see him extendo hair the life out of Andrew right now. Andrew,
Yes.
I love you, but I need you to just get obliterated by an extendo hair at some point in this round. You can still win the round. I won't be mad, but I do need you to get obliterated by an extendo hair.
True and real.
I think the real scary thing though about is you kind of need a lot of the chips to fall where they may for a play like that though, because if you commit a lot of resources into these big 1.3s, these big extendo hairs, these big massive attacks, that's like the worst play style you can possibly do into Kirishima 2, because half damage rounded down for free. You get the half block any massive bomb for free. But I imagine once we see the blood curdle and all of that starts to come together, if Johnson can assemble that puzzle, I think he can obliterate this matchup.
My question for you. So we just saw the think fast come in and make the move low. I actually think that that was a misplay because of how the order symbol works. The high zone is actually the zone that's represented least, right? So Andrew, having known this, is gonna hold a low block for sure.
Hmm.
Why not just why not just make it high and kind of chump check him and be like, "Yo, I don't think you held the high block because of being afraid of the indiscriminate, being afraid of the reciprocal burst."
Yeah.
I think making it high would
The
have been way cooler.
the only reason we hold a high there as Andrew is for high engine kick, but that's the attack we just don't even care about blocking, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Like we're not gonna block this 8 high for 4. We're taking this so that we can potentially block the 20,000 damage 1.3s.
Right. Right.
Although I
I
guess
mean,
the,
that's how I
the
feel.
extendo hair is also a high.
Extender here does 3 damage, right?
This is true.
This
I mean,
early
it,
in the
it
game, so
can
there's like
it
no
can
reason to
do
hold the high.
more. Yeah, it just depends how much how much Andrew was really worried about going into that turn, right? There's a lot of things he could have played around, but at the same time, he doesn't necessarily like pressured to play around any of them really because he has so much fail safe between his character and his stage. I mean, Andrew's stage is just massive right now. It's gonna be a while before a once per game can put us in a super vulnerable position unless we just make some really poor postured blocks.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Um, Yeah, I think in order to really utilize our once per game, we're gonna need a little help from Andrew over committing on an attack turn or even better like a defense turn, right?
Right.
Overextending on a block, which it can be just as bad as overextending on an attack turn. Um, yeah, it just really depends.
At the same time, though, if we're not going to be making any massive game-ending attempts during our turns here, we are playing the best pokes in the game, right? We are just playing a bunch of electric jolts.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
a
pretty good.
playing electric jolt and then building a bunch of cool cards is like not a bad spot to be in. The real issue is we need to start seeing things like our passing the torches and even more calling for backups so we can start leveraging our hand size over Andrew here. The main issue is like fourth kind does not like absolutely despise going into that late game state. It diminishes the value of your once per game because like when you're committing 4 foundations, it's way better when that's like 50% or more of your opponent's stage than when it's like 30% or less once they have 12, 16 crazy numbers of foundations. So
Right.
we're not like over. This is so many 3 checks. We are just checking every single attack in our deck.
Yeah.
They're not hurting us on these, thankfully, but man, that's got to be frustrating to just lose as a 5 hand size character for the time being. Losing a lot of your attacks like that is very unfortunate.
I agree fully.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, 25 more of these jolts and it's game over.
Yo, that's true. That's super true, man. I think we found our win con. How do we got it? We got to get him. We got to get him out of momentum though and cycle. So that's there's a few steps between point A and point G, right?
Yeah,
But
I would for sure start making all of these moves high. Like that. If that jolt was high, we partial block and he takes 2 instead. I think that's actually like a really smart heads up play.
yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, right? We run into a hardened uppercut block, the 0 high that puts -2 speed on the next. A very much loved and slowly that card is like on the up and coming for a lot of the Kirishima 2 players, and I'm really happy to see it. I've been loving that card ever since it was revealed, and I think it really deserves a lot of play. But worst case scenario, we run into that by making it a high, but then we just get the attack out of his hand, which is also fine,
Right.
right? Same
Yeah.
thing with the back alley haymaker. We talked earlier about how bad it felt to block with the back alley haymaker. Make him do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Um, and this is a really rough spot for a fourth kind. I feel like he's stuck between we only have 4 ready foundations, and you kind of just don't want to block anything, right? Like the best
We
thing to
really
do is to
don't.
block with an attack, like block with that extendo hair, commit fourth kind, pick it right back up, and then but that telegraphs like, hey, look at this thing I'm gonna try and kill you with next turn.
I mean, I think that's a super fine play though. Like the only actual counter to that is on Kirishima's face, which isn't anything that like, we don't have to keep, we're not like, oh, I got to keep Kirishima ready so I can respond. We're doing that anyway. And at the end of the day, we're not really going into that play until we find the blood curdle, and at that point, it doesn't matter. It's not like
Right.
Andrew's got things like You're So Obvious or something on it that he would start, maintaining on his field. Now if he does see an extendo hair, he might build that card, right? That's like a very much a thing that could happen.
Right.
But for
That
now,
makes sense.
we're just slinging him. We're just beating him up right now. That's all we care about.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a 5 damage here, 6, 7 if we decide to use Kirishima on it.
Mhm.
Even the partial block is going to take us down to 30, and 30 is more manageable to deal in one turn than 34 is.
Yeah.
Grab
Mhm.
a momentum, maybe build a prehensile tail.
I think what we really want now is like what we would love to see now as JP Johnson here. Both Kirishimas have been used. We would love for Andrew to go for a third move here and check poorly, and then we get to double jolt him, and then like have a good window to go in on.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
we are really just waiting for Andrew to kind of slip up like that and find his way into a bad check. Another big equalizer right now is Andrew's not seeing season the advantage, which is a big equalizer. Us getting to maintain our passing the torches and heroic lineages on board is just extremely pivotal in a matchup like this, where we've entered this like mid to late game state, and we need to leverage the important pieces on our board a lot more. Um, and for Deshaun in the chat, my good friend, man, we've got 9 rounds, and after that, we're gonna be cutting to a top 32 for day 2.
How exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long day, my friends. A very grueling 9 rounds for us to get all the way to the end and try and secure those top 32 spots, so that we can then fight our hearts out tomorrow to secure those top 8 spots and get our one-way ticket to Worlds.
Yeah, super exciting.
And that
We
is
built one
what
of the
these
cards
players
that
are
you
fighting for right now.
mentioned with You're So Obvious, and then a second copy of It Can't Be Fixed. The order symbol's downfall, right? Fourth kind's
Mhm.
entire gimmick is I want to turn your whole foundation base sideways, and It Can't Be Fixed hates on that. And then fourth kind says that the fourth move is really big, and You're So Obvious says that it hates that. So like,
It
two
does,
of the best cards
yes.
we could have built on this turn. Um,
Mhm.
I
Now,
think I think JP's gonna have a tough time breaking this wall.
this is gonna be a very hard wall to break. I mean, we aren't super worried about like specific answers on Andrew's board, such as You're So Obvious. We do have double jolt still just lying in wait. Really love the restraint. Not using these jolts yet. Lying these in wait for the perfect moment to snipe the key piece that's gonna stop our big moves. But the big issue, yeah, is that double It Can't Be Fixed. Our commit 4 really just says commit 2. Andrew's got double Someone with Style to dance his way around deadlock as well, and also just manipulate his ready foundations even more. Yeah, I'm very much in agreement with you, Tam. This is a super hard wall for fourth kind to break.
Yeah, build one pass feels really really bad
Oh, it
because
feels so bad.
so what this means is is we as Andrew either fourth kind has 4 attacks in hand and feels like they need the fifth, or they didn't draw a bunch of attacks and now they're stuck with a bunch of foundations that we're hoping to block with. As Andrew, we could have build 2, build 3 past and kind of like chump checked fourth kind a little bit and been like, hey, I'm gonna go further into deadlock. I'm gonna not care about your foundation base. I'm just not going to care. Um, we'll see what he decides to flip, and I'll continue my speech.
Yeah, I mean, I think as great as that check sounds, it risks letting fourth kind sculpt an even more perfect attack hand, and simultaneously, we can't pass up playing season the advantages, right? Especially with the jab in hand, we get to play it 2 times if we so desire. Getting to flip like the pass and the torch, and then like the heroic lineage, or maybe even the defrosting. Those are just such pivotal pieces of fourth kind's game plan, and the more he struggles to keep stuff like that up, the more he's just going to suffer in this late game scenario.
Yeah, for sure, man. Jolting here feels really bad too. I think we just have to wait, save the jolts for our turn, unless we just
I
think we're
agree.
gonna perish, right?
I
Like
agree.
we jolt one thing, it can't be fixed. Double triggers, and we have a million foundations.
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard to think about giving those to Andrew during his turn, because while it's more punishing if we get to backswing him, giving him 2 more foundations to play with right now just says, hey, buddy, you get to play every single attack in your hand. How many did you draw? You're playing that many, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Andrew Sage is just out of hand right now, and we have the other jab coming in too.
Looking like
It's
a
just
boxing
crazy.
match. Jab,
Oh, yeah.
jab,
There's a lot of
haymaker
jabs
coming
going
in.
on. Imagine outboxing the guy with 4 arms. Can you imagine that? Imagine
I
outboxing the guy
can't.
with 4 arms.
As a martial artist, I wish I had 4 arms.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, huh?
Be
I think that's
pretty
like
pretty good.
another yet another layer of this narrative that we didn't talk about is it's Kirishima versus Fourth Kind. Literally the guy he interns under, literally the man he work studies under,
Yeah.
which is super duper funny.
Ooh, I don't like that play. I think we should have committed a almost any other foundation.
I agree. I agree. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy that like we had the blood curdle and still didn't feel like we could go in.
Yeah,
I mean,
his Andrew had his entire foundation base ready. It was just gonna be pretty tough. We haven't even used Kirishima on this move, right? Like we're
no.
now 3 attacks in, and we're just now starting to re-ready our stage, build
Yeah,
down
it's just
a foundation, redraw a card.
if we don't
Super
take
good.
damage from this, it's gonna build itself down too. It's just gonna get so out of hand so fast. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, right? You know, once you get to the point where Kirishima is like 4 or 5 attacks deep into his string and he has no committed foundations, it's a little absurd.
Completely. Or it's 7 damage swinging in,
Mhm.
right?
We only get
Going to
7.
21.
We only get to do that 2 more times. We cannot take 7 3 more times.
Yeah.
I think that's the correct play. I don't think you're really allowed to give him that extra foundation here and the clearing of his card pool. I don't know, man. Andrew's already in such a state where he can just build as much as he wants. Really, we don't really have unless a grasping tape toss comes in. The deadlock threats from the attacks on order just aren't really cutting it.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Rolling double threes there would have spelled disaster for Andrew, and it might have
It
been
could have.
Fourth Kind's literally only hope to try and have Andrew overextend. But checking 2 5, saying that I get to build 2 of my strongest foundations, and commit only one for it. Um, Kirishima gets to reset his uses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, this
Yeah.
is
We
pretty
have
good.
we have effectively our whole board ready now, +1 with our 2 Kirishima usages. We have 1.5 million ways to ready our stage. Any non-fourth kind or jolt committals, like actual stuns, we have double resistance to cancel if we ever want to. Hey, the blood curdle is going to come in. JP says it's time. It's time to begin. This is going to be something interesting to keep track of as well because that's technically the first card we've played this turn, right? So, our whatever the third thing in our pool is, that's the one that's going to get the -4 difficulty.
Correct. Yeah. Ooh, I love this play from Andrew.
Super
Uh,
cool.
it can't be fixed says after a card in your stage is committed due to your rival's effect. That does include your character. So because you blood curdled me, I'm gonna build 2 foundations for free.
Yep.
That is incredible.
And we're still just finding only threes on
Every
these checks.
every attack
I
in our deck, nuts.
I've got to know the ratios on this fourth kind deck because we are like drawing and playing attacks and still just like checking a million of them.
Oh,
I'm very eager to see how obscure the ratios might be, or if JP Johnson is actually just one of the unluckiest people in the whole wide world. I also don't think our fourth kind should be committed.
no, I don't believe so
I don't
either.
think that guy should be committed. I think that man is very ready. We're just kind of in the zone right now. Yeah, there it is. There it is. We're marking our once per game usage coming in right here. And I mean, as we said, the double somewhat style here is really massive. Getting to destroy our committed foundations to re-ready this the somewhat styles. It's hard. It's it feels like but between the two he built in and then like these, it doesn't actually feel like our once per game did anything.
Yeah, if you look at the board state, yeah, there isn't a once per game that's happened. We have 2 committed foundations.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is that the case, but it also like is saying that like the way that we get to kill Kirishima is what triple indiscriminate shock, which
Maybe,
is going to
and
be
even then,
incredibly hard to pass.
yeah, Andrew's got to have like no low blocks as well because we have 12 ready foundations.
Yeah,
Every 3 indiscriminates, if we have 3 blocks, if we have 3 mid slash low blocks, are extremely blockable,
Yeah.
laughably blockable almost. And it's hard. The hardest thing for like JP here, right, is that we've entered such a late game scenario where for him to actually go in on Kirishima, he has to commit so many resources, like the once per game and like the blood curdle, that we're not getting back anytime soon. To where if we don't actually find lethal on that turn, even if we deal like a ton of damage, if we don't find lethal, it's hard to say if it matters or not, because it's going to take away so many from our resources, but I don't think we actually get to like come back from that. It's going to put us so behind resource wise, even if it gets us ahead damage wise, that it's going to be hard to find a turn like that again against Andrew.
Yeah, the other thing, and we were talking, I had to go look up the text on Prehensile Tail, right? Um, this is playable on my opponent's turn. I can go and find myself. I've got 2 momentum underneath Kirishima, one of which I know is a low block,
Mhm.
to just go pick up in case I need to panic block something, right?
Yeah.
And so we have a deceptive amount of cards in our hand.
Mhm.
Um,
The Extendo hair is coming in though. We saw the really, really nice hardened uppercut block though. Perfect blocking that with that beautiful +0 block mod, and then giving -2 speed to our Extendo hair as it comes in is really powerful. I feel like you can tell so much by the posture of the players here too, right? We have JP, like, checking cards, reading cards, fiddling with cards, looking at things really closely, trying to put all of these pieces together to orchestrate this kill turn in his head. And then Andrew is just sitting there very calmly, very confidently, hand on the table, only pressing the buttons he needs to. He feels so aware and so in control of the situation right now.
Absolutely. And I mean, we have to soak through 25 life. We could sell out and commit, a lot of our board in order to find a bunch of damage here. Commit one of our resources in order to get +1 and then +1 on my EX rating. I still feel like Andrews has enough resources on board that if we have the blocks on, we can still just block it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is only starting out at 3 damage. For this to be like anything relevant, we do have to commit cards. Notably, though, we are going to get the very cool Deadlock Enhance on Extendo Hair here to give our next check to play a card +5. So,
Sure.
like, our next 2 cards between this and... Oh, actually, no. Our next card will be the 4th card we've played, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So that actually is probably not going to have too much impact. It's only going to be on a 7 with already -4 difficulty. So it'll be on a 3 with +5 to our check, which is a little unfortunate. That might say that we actually don't have many more moves past that. Otherwise, I feel like we'd have played another move, played this on a 7 with -4 difficulty, so on a 3, and then use the Deadlock Enhance and say we get to play this 5th card with +5 to our check.
Yeah, this is looking like a pretty desperate play here.
It feels so
Destroying
desperate.
for the +1. Andrew's sitting so cool, calm, collected. I think I think a real miracle is gonna have to happen in order for JP to squeak this one out.
Yeah. I mean, I think that sums it up perfectly. This whole line feels very desperate. I don't know what combination of cards we could put together here to find any ounce of lethality in the situation.
Yeah, and the more that we sell out to this Extendo Hairstrike line, the I mean, the harder the backswing is, and we
Yep.
watched Kirishima do 21 with less resources last
Oh yeah. Oh
game,
yeah.
and
I
so
think the big thing here is that Andrew's only got 1 card in his hand. We don't have Kirishima to manipulate our hand size once we go down to 0. So like if we block this, so we only have the high block. So now does double indiscriminate kill?
um the answer is no,
We I don't
because
think
one of
it
them gets
does.
blocked, for sure. We just picked up a 3 mid block with uh with the new training method.
Yep.
And so if we stun at all, we get to
Mhm.
use the summoner style, destroy it, and then get to oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Get to destroy it, and then
We checked an 8 on our 3 difficulty.
hey,
Love it. Love it.
it does come with +4. That's pretty good.
+4 is pretty good here. It's not 25, but it could be cool.
The other thing that we get to see, right, is if let's pretend that Andrew does want to attempt to full block it, we've got a chivalrous competitor in our stage. We could just raw draw right off the top,
We could,
um,
we
and
could.
just absolutely sack our opponent. Um, it just depends.
It's definitely an option. We've still got a lot of options here as Andrew, even with our character committed and not a lot of relevant text on our board. At this point, like Johnson is running, he's running low on foundations. Man, he's running quite low on foundations. We're not allowed to stun here because the somewhat style will absolutely wreck our day. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, this is just like I can see the power of like the blood curdle extendo hair madness being really good into Kirishima, but it feels like, man, when all of those pieces aren't lining up perfectly, the earth defensive foundation base is just so good at stopping a lot of things that order, specifically this order fourth kind deck, really wants to do.
Yeah, completely and totally. Um, I guess we get to what, give this thing an extra 2 damage with our character,
Yeah,
or not with our character.
we
Sorry, with the momentum,
mhm.
or
Yeah,
we could just give it three
with its own
speed.
hands. Yeah, we can do either of those things. I mean, we know like the damage is pretty valuable either way because we know what the block right in Andrew's hand is.
Yeah, and it looks like we just committed a foundation to make it a high.
Interesting.
Commit a foundation for +1/+1 off of the uh think fast. Commit a foundation for +1/+1 is not a very good exchange rate whenever you know that they get a chance to block.
It
You know they're
doesn't
gonna
feel
block.
great. It does not feel great. So I think we're just deciding if this is actually worth blocking or not, or if we just opt to take it on the chin. There's the +3 coming in. It's gonna be on an 11, I believe. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's going to be a half block. So we get what? How much half damage through?
Going to
8?
17.
Yeah. Um, but now we've got the breaker 1 to think about.
I mean, you check a 5 here on your 5 difficulty move, and you
Mm-hmm.
get to commit the rest of your board and your character. It leaves you completely open, and it doesn't do 17. So
Yeah. Yeah, it does. What? I can't even tell how many
5, 7,
committed.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, I guess it does 19, and we don't
Yeah.
stun.
Oh my God. On an 8, we checked a 4? 5, 6, 7, 8?
Okay.
Okay. But ooh, this yeah, I don't know if we're
This
allowed to.
is game.
It should be. It should be game. I think this might the chivalrous is going to come in to make us each draw. If we can find like best case scenario a +1 block, it's a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can hard check a 5. So we're still not allowed to stun though. We can't even commit one to make you commit one. What did we draw? It's all up to the block mod of what we drew. The block mod of what we drew. Oh, it's a +3. We can't
Hey,
block
it's a
it.
3 low. I can't block it.
Wow.
Game 2. Wow, I
Wow.
100% uh counted him out. I thought it was over. I mean, it shows the power of indiscriminate
I
shock.
I was not resolved, but I was certainly leaning towards. I mean, as you said, the whole line was very. It felt very desperate, and I think it was. At no point in time was that line ever not desperate. But sometimes in desperation, when we're barreling under adversities, that is when we shine the strongest and can overcome it. And that is what Fourth Kind, as a pro hero, just showed off there. That prowess to overcome that situation and also capitalize on a lot of the ways that the big thing there, right, was Andrew blocked the reciprocal burst, right? If
Yeah.
Andrew did not block the reciprocal burst, we get to stop that 1.3 all day, and it does not get to do a million damage.
Do we?
Yeah, because we have what 6 more ready things. We get to block the 3 speed
Oh,
1.3
sure.
all day. Yeah. I think like because like obviously we looked at that scenario right and said if we block this and we check and we make the best check we can, does 1.3 kill? There's a very solid chance it does. And Andrew blocked the reciprocal burst regardless. If we don't block the reciprocal burst, we definitely get to block the 1.3. As bad as it feels there to take the 16 on the chin and go to 9. I think the big thing there was that made it more of a gamble of whether or not we draw the low block, because then we die to the 1.3 on the half, I think, right? So we would have taken, yeah, it got to like what 18, right? So we would have taken 9 regardless, is what we would have gone down to health wise.
Right.
So it became more of a matter of, because we know that Andrew didn't have the low block, right? So if we take the reciprocal burst on the chin, we then have to draw the low block to not die to the 1.3. So it's a matter of, do I believe in my draw for the right zone, or do I just dare him to have the 1.3 and check it?
Yeah, I mean,
I
he was
think Andrew made the
posturing that
right gamble.
he's posturing that he excuse me, that he had the jolts. It was, I mean, it was the only thing that could have gotten him there. But Andrew now gets to go first for the first time in the match, and that lets fourth kind, sculpt his opening hand a little bit. We'll see, just how aggressive the hard boy can be.
Yeah, I mean that was, man, that entire kill turn was just like nail biting. The final result of it was just so stringent on so many minor decisions and calc and risk calculation. And what a man! I'm just blown away. That was a very exemplary back and forth between those two players. What a fantastic game that was. I'm actually just elated that we get to go to game 3. I'm so excited to see more of this.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Only a build 3 from Kirishima is a little rough. That either tells us that we have too many actions in our hand, or our hand's loaded with attacks. Which
Ooh, 2 of our blood girdles are gone. Oh my goodness.
big thumbs up from Andrew. That's funny.
Yep, we're very happy
These
to
two
see
players
that.
are having a good time.
Oh, 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 we have knocked over the tippity top of our deck now. I think this card has to be removed.
Yeah,
I believe
it
this gets removed
from play, and it can't be referenced from removed from play. So if there was a card that said count the number of foundations in your removed from game pile, and you get damage equal to, this card would not count towards that.
Yep, our desperate times, as a result of accidentally flipping it off the top of our deck, is now in the no-no zone. It has gone forever. It has completely disappeared, which is very unfortunate because we would have passed the check on our ice gliding there otherwise. Still, though, a build 4, very, very, very good in our 5-hand size character.
Completely agree. Completely agree. From here, I mean, we gotta have a little bit of aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
We have received clarification from our lovely Judge Nilmerk that in that scenario, the card would not be removed and returned to the top of the deck and then shuffled. And so then everything would be returned to normalcy, essentially. The top card of the deck being different in this case now after shuffling, but the main thing is it remains random, right? It remains random. So I think we're just going to figure out what the best course of action now between our judges to figure out what's going to happen to this desperate times that's been that's been banished away time and time again. Just gonna get returned back to the deck.
Interesting.
Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, learn something new every day.
Yeah, I've played this game a ton since its inception as the My Hero Academia collectible card game, but there's still so many things I do not know. That was definitely one of them. That's why we have our fantastic judges around. Little round of applause for our fantastic judges. We love Nilmerg in this house. Back to our thrilling game, though. Andrew says 3 foundations. I'm not even worried about it. I'm about to have my 4th, baby. Seizing the advantage is going to come in and attempt to seize the advantage away from JP Johnson here. Andrew looking to be in a really good spot after this, especially with the pickup from the hardened jab. We're gonna get a lot of resources accrued this turn, I think.
Yeah, this is pretty good. What is happening? Why did we?
We didn't respond with. I think we might have missed our timing for seizing the advantage.
I'm flabbergasted. I'm
Yeah,
still I'm still reeling from the from the put the card back in the deck because
Mhm.
that's not what
I
I
guess
do.
maybe he wanted the free build more than so that I think the real pause there was just realizing, oh, I should have played the back alley first because I want the free build off of my jab. That's all I can
Right.
think of anyway. Because obviously, if you seizing down, you don't get your free build off jab. You get to pick up seizing and then build one. I think we just valued getting the extra face down more, the extra foundation more over getting our seizing back, which is
I
interesting. I
love
mean,
that.
yeah, I don't disagree because there's not a ton of like we got the one like super relevant card out of the way on JP's field. I suppose I don't hate flipping the lineage there, but maybe Andrew's hand is what's telling the real story here. Maybe we have like 1,000 attacks in our hand and we really want that extra foundation.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. I mean, we started this turn with 3 foundations, and now we're gonna be ending it at a very scary 6. Kind of the perfect number for fourth kind, but
For sure. Now we do have that pesky. It can't be fixed, but I mean, a good blood curdle turn is going to say we're not super worried about that.
we just
Having to
checked our
half
third
this,
blood curdle though, so that's pretty rough.
we did. It's okay, man. We believe in the fourth blood curdle, man. We're fourth kind. We have the fourth blood curdle. It's the narrative, Tamara, the narrative.
It's gonna
So
have to be. Get to
a
keep up the
really,
momentum. That feels good.
really. I mean, we said we're gonna accrue some resources this turn. That is what we did. You know, we had 3 foundations in play. Now we have 7, and we attacked 2 times, and we're holding 2 cards in our hand as our 6 hand size character.
Yeah,
That is pretty powerful. However,
seems pretty good.
our stage isn't overly massive here. And fourth kind's moves can get overly massive here, so we might be able to find a good window for some pokes, especially with the reciprocal extend. If we could extend into like a high engine kick here as the fourth card, and it can be like a 10 high for 10, that's pretty hot.
Yeah, form it for 4. I think there's no reason for us to block this.
I
Not
think
when we've got
the
more stuff coming later. You know.
I think it is like okay to block this in some scenarios, especially if he's got a breaker block. Yep, we
Ooh,
got the
good
chop.
call.
Because if we could easily have the chop or the naval laser there. Although I have to imagine that the naval lasers. You think the naval lasers got sided out because breaker's like only okay against fourth kind?
Yeah, that probably. I mean, that makes sense to me. The only issue there
Mhm.
is like you are taking out an attack that easily can get to 10 damage, right? Like that
Mhm.
represents like a 5 mid for 10 in
Yep,
Kirishima, and it unflips foundations, which is huge, right?
it
You can kind of
does.
cheat the foundations from your hand into your stage, discard momentum, unflip the 2 cool cards you want to use right now. Um, and so like there are certainly some schmoves that we could be doing
All right, let's
with
see.
those
Kick
cards.
comes in here. We got the high engine. Oh, we've got the jolt.
Hey,
So
there's the high engine kick.
there's the high engine. Unfortunately, not a kick, but it is going to be a big old jolt. It's super easily blockable, but that does require Andrew. If Andrew doesn't have another mid block here, we get to at least get half of this 8 damage jolt through. Um, a really big play here. Oh wow, I love this. Getting to forcing surrender the foundations that you've built into your card pool to build at the end of turn, because fourth kind is one of those weird decks that builds a foundation and then plays an attack. That is crazy. Essentially, getting to flip our forcing surrender to destroy a rival foundation. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
And you get to pick, right? Like you get to select
Yeah,
which of the ones you don't like. So
yeah,
getting rid of that
that's
requesting assistance, you
crazy.
know that this jolt's gonna hit, and so that's essentially you got rid of 2 foundations.
Yeah,
That
that's
feels
crazy.
fantastic.
That's a really insane play. Um, very cool tech right there. I've never even thought about that against the. I mean, again, fourth kind just one of those decks that plays the game strangely, and opens up
True.
interesting and unique applications like that. Usually in his benefit, but sometimes, like in this case, to his downfall even. So
Uh,
interesting. We're opting to just take the full damage of the jolt here, not even trying to Kirishima respond it. I mean, I guess there's a world where like we could jam something scary like a 1.3 or something or other right here. But
especially
oh,
because I mean we gave
we're
him -1 difficulty with our own moves, right?
this
Like
this is
there's
true.
the trade off.
This is true. We did do that. I mean, we're going for another jolt though, saying, "Hey, well, you know what? This is only on a 7 now, so let's just let it rock." I kind of love this. Being able to have double jolt and momentum going into Andrew's next turn is going to be really strong to stave off some of his offense, even if it means our stage isn't going to be like that bountiful. It's gonna be easy to ward off some of his aggression, give us a little bit of padding against his foundation base. We've also pretty much established that Andrew doesn't have a mid block here. Otherwise, the jolt probably got blocked. So we're gonna force him to try and look for the Kirishima enhance, not find one. And now we're gonna get half damage through once again. So slowly chipping away. Some really cool mind games going on there between the two different players, saying like, "Hey, this big kick is coming. This big kick is coming. Nope, here's a jolt. Well, now here's another jolt because you've fallen right into my trap." Very 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 cool stuff.
Yeah, completely agree. Funny to dig with Kirishima twice, probably find two low blocks, and then be wishing we had the mid. 9 times out of 10 versus fourth kind, you're praying, you're digging for the low, and this time it's just
Mhm.
like we found the exact opposite scenario.
Yeah, I've actually got every electric jolt within my deck. There's the season coming in, man. Being able to just shut down Johnson's board here, I think, is the really big equalizer in the matchup so far. And there's our naval laser. Not actually sighted out naval laser beam. Very, very real naval laser beam.
I'm not positive what was said, but it looks like we still have 4 minutes left in the round, via stream timer, because they start the game a little bit later than normal.
Yeah. Yeah, they do get a nice little buffer for us coming in and bothering them and then postponing their game to come put on a super cool show for you guys. So the season advantage is going to be really, really big here. Being able to flip down one of the two pieces that will probably help Fourth Kind survive this turn, right? Heroic Lineage is obviously very good against Kirishima because you're casually putting 2 damage on so many of your moves. That response from -3 speed is gonna be infinite opportunities for a response like that.
So the question is your first enhance, is it unflip 2 or is it flip grab a momentum? That's the big question here. Because if you unflip the 2, jolt is going to stop the grab of the momentum.
Well, naval laser is first enhance, right? So
Correct.
mhm.
Oh, he says flip, get rid of the jolt.
Yeah, that's very
Oh.
interesting. Okay, that's very very interesting. I do like that is the secret third pathway here, which I am a pretty big fan of. I like that. This man, this really says that we might be out for blood this turn. And I mean, with only 3.5 minutes remaining in the round, still, I mean, obviously 10 minutes of overtime afterwards. These players have a very sizable amount of time to wrap up this round, but still, you don't want to dilly dally in the slightest.
25 is a lot of health to get through, especially after getting an 8 damage move blocked.
It is a lot. I mean, we have two more things face up still as well. Kirishima's moves, without outside support anyway, do not get very fast.
He said build
And
2
there we have it.
pass.
Build to
Trying
pass.
to
He said
play as
okay.
quick as we can. Andrew
Yep.
did go first this game, so his goal is to get back to his turn as quick as he can. Hope Fourth Kind only has a 2-minute turn, 1.5-minute turn, being a 5 hand size
hmm
character, and then continuing.
Yeah, I mean, if he builds, it won't take long. I think right now we're trying to find out if that fourth blood curdle is sitting somewhere in our deck. If we find it here, there's a rare, very, very real chance that we can put Andrew out of practice this turn. Let's see what's going on. Only 5 foundations though, so checks can be really, really, really big here. Um, let's see if we can find our way here, man. Blood Curdle going to be the almighty equalizer if it comes down. Otherwise, 17 is going to be a pretty tall order. We've got a lot to think about for sure. The Electric Jolt coming down. That's pretty much the no-brainer play right here. Let's see how it impacts the rest of the turn. We do have the one momentum. We could once per game and then jolt and then EX something. We have a lot of actual time here to perform our moves.
Yeah. There's about a minute left in the round. And so this is for sure going to be the last turn of the game. Our goal here as Andrew is to just push for the tie, which, I mean, building double resistance is a great way to do it.
So there's the It Can Be Fixed coming in. We're just going to build as hard as we can and then weather this storm as much as we can. Obviously, so there's the once per game coming in. The big commit 4. There's definitely lines we could find. Once again, it's gonna heavily come down to like how Andrew blocks through this turn. It's gonna be just like last time where one small misstep in blocking, which I don't even know if I'd call the last game a misstep. I think Andrew took the better risk by blocking the burst, but it could be something that impacts his thinking as he blocks his way across this turn.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right? Real damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. If I block this and he doesn't have it, I'm gonna lose. If he blocks this and he doesn't have it, I'm gonna lose. Yeah, rough stuff.
Yep. So we are in overtime right now. There's an Extendo Hair and a beautiful check as well.
Extendo Hair is pretty good.
This could be good. We have deadlock? Oh man, we are. I think we did It Can't Be Fixed our way into deadlock, which is very, very, very scary. Our next one getting +5. So this is kind of what we talked about last game, right? We want to play this Extendo Hair leading into the third move, which gets +5, and then the fourth move has the -4 difficulty, effectively making our next 2 cards very free, which also lets us go haywire with this Extendo Hair a little bit.
Yeah, this feels pretty good.
This feels very good. As Andrew, I mean, you don't really have like much in the way of live abilities here, aside from your second Kirishima usage coming in. Now it's just a matter of, I'm going to pass until the end of time. And do you have it? Do you have it, Mr. JP Johnson? Do you have it? But we're definitely off to a good start with something like the Extendo Hair coming in. If we have like 1.3, 1.3 here, that would be devastating. Actually 1.3 into like Recipro Burst. I feel like Recipro Burst, because like the damage is going to get so high that it could still be relevant depending on if we can get Kirishima response out. That's going to be the big thing to this turn. Surviving this turn is going to be about Kirishima responding the correct move.
Yeah, that's the big question. I mean, this is going to get another 3 speed. It's going to be an 8 high. We block with a 0 high block, right?
I don't
check
know
a 5, commit our 3. Whatever move comes in next, we eat. The next move after that, we
all right. On the 9, we commit our 4. The 5 check there really huge. If we check a 3, we just have to fail that. We're not allowed to lose the Kirishima response. But now we get to have our cake and eat it too. But at the same time, there's the 1.3. Do you have the low block, buddy?
It just doesn't get to 26 though.
No, I don't think it does. It gets to what? 9. It gets to 20, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's 9 plus 11. It gets to 20. Yeah, then we just get to half it to 10.
And there it is. We take the tie.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, man. One more attack there would have clean cut ended it. Super duper scary position. Unfortunately, ending into a tie, but still better than a loss for either of the players. Definitely have a lot of leeway to be able to play through the bracket past that. What an exhilarating 3 games, Tamron. My goodness.
Yeah, these players are now 3-0-1, I believe, going into the next round. That is a great record in a 9-round tournament. They're technically, I believe, allowed to lose 2 more, and
Yeah,
still have that chance to top cut.
more
Taking
than
a tie
likely.
here in the fourth round is not bad whatsoever. So we'll you know have a small break now that we're at the end of the round, and come back to you with some more riveting gameplay. We'll be back.